something you might have noticed is that I don't have an air compressor here. I've actually only been in this garage for about 2 weeks. I'm kind of starting to realize a lot of the things that I'm going to be missing. It's actually kind of a topic that I like to maybe develop a little bit as the channel goes on. Let's see. For about the past 4.5 years, I owned a company that actually got kind of big. It was big before I had it. I took it over about 4.5 or so years ago, kind of stepped out of it, handed it over to some friends of mine, and they're going strong as ever. So in doing that, I'm basically starting back at the basics. So I've got a little bit of equipment that is allowing me to make some of this stuff, but there's a lot of things that I'm missing. And I'm in a tiny garage compared to the shop that we were in. So I'm gonna start kind of developing that back to beginnings sort of theme in the channel. And again, one of those things is I just don't have a compressor, or the one I have is basically just a glorified bicycle pump. I usually use an angle die grinder with a red Scotch-Brite roll-lock disc. If you're familiar with what those are, they're fantastic. They really don't change the profile of the tube. They just take off the mill scale. So I needed to come up with a solution to clean up all the tubes. So made a quick run to Harbor Freight in the time that I don't have a compressor. I'm gonna try to figure out something else. Now, I was looking for and hoping I was gonna find an electric angle die grinder. If Harbor Freight doesn't have it, it probably doesn't exist. They carry all that kind of weird stuff. So what I found was a close quarter 3/8 drill. I'm gonna try to make this work as basically an angle die grinder for the time being. I gotta decide what my next purchase is gonna be. Since I don't have that business anymore, everything that I have here is starting back at zero as well. There's basically no money in the account to splurge on tools. Everything that I buy for equipment has to come out of the projects that I'm doing. So after this project's done, I'll be spending some of that money to get more equipment, better equipment, whatever the case may be. One of the things on the agenda is a cut table. I'm sure if you've noticed, I've kind of been hunched over a little bit, cutting and grinding on the ground. Well, my knees are getting too old to do that much longer. So I got to decide, make or build a cut table, buy a compressor. I don't know, there's a laundry list of tools and things that I don't have that would make this work a lot easier. So I kind of have to plan that like somebody who's starting at zero anyway. So like I said, I look forward to kind of developing that as a kind of an underlying theme to the channel. I might even share some of the kind of banking part of it, you know, what I might have in the bank account. And this is an account specifically for this business. So I might share that information with you along with whatever I buy and how that affects, you know, where my decision making comes from. Because, you know, you got a big shop, a big company, you can pretty much turn on a dime, get any kind of equipment that you want, but that's just not going to be the case anymore. So kind of want to share that with you because I think it might be interesting. At any rate, let's try this close quarter drill, and we'll get into cleaning up some of these tubes and tacking them up and welding them. Well, as you can see from the video, that actually worked out pretty well. The Harbor Freight close quarter drill worked out great as a die grinder. So for this foreseeable future, until we have an air compressor and can actually use air tools, that's going to be a sort of a lifesaver. I've got some other tube work jobs that will need basically the exact same work. So that little close quarter drill got into some tight spaces, and I was pretty happy with the way it worked out. It's got a couple little features that make it nice. You can kind of lock the trigger in place and whatnot. That being said, I might not recommend using it as a drill. There's a lot of run out in the chuck. Now, I didn't actually test it out. It may clean up when actually going to put a hole in something, but it just seemed a little bit sloppy and it wouldn't be my go-to choice for a drill. But for what I used it for in the project, it was perfect. Now, as you can see, if you didn't already watch the full-length episode of the bash bar being built on that 370Z, please do so. Hopefully you find some interest in that and something that's kind of entertaining. Now, I think that's going to end up being the format for the channel to some degree, one or the other. I plan on probably doing a project, filming it, doing that whole thing, and cutting it into the most concise video that I actually can. I'm not a big fan of long-running, rambling videos. 15 to 20 minutes is probably going to be the absolute max for any video that I do on the channel. I like the idea of doing a full-length video with the commentary and all that, voiceovers on top of some video. That way it saves a little bit of time on the video. I also plan on continuing to do the time-lapse only. So do a full-length version with commentary and a short version that's time-lapse only. That way, if you don't really care to hear me rambling on about whatever, you can just play through the time-lapse to kind of get up to speed with what's going on. So again, 15 to 20 minutes max on any kind of video as a full length is probably going to be the plan moving forward. And then a short video, half the length, time-lapse only, probably wrap up the week with some type of interaction as far as an update on how projects are going, what's going on with tools and equipment in the shop, plans, that kind of thing. As I've kind of mentioned earlier in this video, I kind of want to take you along on starting over again. This is definitely not starting at absolute zero or starting a shop from scratch. I've got a fair bit of equipment that is kind of giving me a step forward, but with the recent events, taking a pretty good step back. So now I got to kind of plan and reassess and start all over again, and I think it's going to make for some pretty good content. So I think the Friday, Saturday video is probably going to have that content. It's going to be doing a little bit of that and or shop tours. I've spoken with some friends in different shops throughout Colorado, and I really kind of want to bring a small business vibe, starting a shop kind of mentality. And I plan on going to a couple shops that I'm friends with, doing a day in the shop of. It's kind of going to be the day of shadowing them, doing something, hands-on and making a video out of that, kind of highlighting their shop and doing something like that. So got some pretty good things in mind on how to make good use of the channel and how it's not going to be or shouldn't be just another car channel, just another person doing stuff on cars that can kind of get monotonous. So hopefully bring some decent original content and something that's going to spark an interest. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you're subscribing, and we'll keep putting out new and better videos every week.